Hello, everyone, and welcome to Trial by Fireside. I am Xenagos here with Honestly, and we are bringing you the grand finals of RGL Highlander for the intermediate division with Djungelskog facing off against MF Villains. Honestly, how are you doing tonight?
Doing good. I'm hella excited for this. Honestly, I haven't seen an IM match in a long time. I'm actually pretty excited. Maybe we'll see some up and comers.
Yeah, I've seen this is my division that I look over in RGL, and so I've been paying close attention to both these teams throughout the season, and I've been really impressed with both of them. I think we're actually in for some really good gameplay tonight.
Well, so, I mean, since you've already seen these teams play out the whole season, I mean, do you already have like a favorite in mind?
I mean, I think that Djungelskog is definitely a favorite going in here. So far, undefeated this season. I know talking to Yinsei, their team leader, they were saying that they wanted to try and go not just undefeated this season, but without dropping a single round. So we'll see if they can keep that through to the rest of this grand finals. Speaking of Djungelskog, I'm going to go over their roster right now real quick. They got Rallo on Scout, Average on Soldier, Jurgles on Pyro, Yensei on Demo, Jerry on Heavy, Alucard on Engineer, Pub Winner on Medic, Ryan on Sniper, and Pulse Dog on Spy.
Looks like the teams are readying up now, but I can still go through the MF Villains roster. On Scout, we have Finman, Ryzen on Soldier, Say What's playing Pyro, Tax is on Demo, Sin is on Heavy, Jono on Engineer, Fuzzy Coco on Medic, Learn Sniper, and Scuttle is their Spy.
And here we are at the first mid. Both demos making good time to mid. We'll see if either of these teams try to play across the point. Some great denies from Say What on the Soldier Bomb coming out from Average. Shuts that down real quick, and then Pulse Dog going massive.
Massive. It seemed like a pretty passive miss from both sides. I mean, both their soldiers bombed a little late, or a little later than like normal. But honestly, I think it kind of worked out for the side of Djungelskog, just because their Spy was able to get in on ramp for free.
Yeah, using that soldier bombing in as a distraction play, you got their Pyro looking forward, and Pulse Dog is just able to pick up so many impactful frags, leaving Djungelskog at full ad here. They're doing a little bit of a passive ramp hold. We'll see if they try and move forward. Here comes in the sack from MF Villains, and they do manage to get the force, which is going to be big for them. They're going to be coming out of this with about 50% ad, which hopefully will let them get this push in and take back the point relatively soon.
Yeah, 70% Uber ad should be pretty big. I'm actually curious to see how they want to take this full Uber ad push.
Looks like they're looking for Shutter here. Taxes, they might even just be trying to take this dry, except their med drops.
Was that a Frontier Justice crits? And they're still fighting the point, though. They should be able to still cap this, and maybe, actually, the Djungelskog Medic might die. I mean, they have the Scout Soldier push forward. They do pick him off, so we should see some Uber being equal after this point turns over.
I mean, a massive salvage there from Alucard with the Frontier Justice crits to drop the Medic. I don't even know how he got into their Shutter, but...
Yeah, I didn't even see that, honestly. I only saw blue the entire time, though. I was like, this guy's a magician. It's totally dry on both sides right now. We do have a Red Soldier going behind, but he's going to get picked off. Some forward presence on... Oh, where did that sniper... Oh, I see. Sniper on Bats. Okay, so now no demo for MF. So having point presence is going to be a little bit more difficult. And it looks like Djungelskog actually... I mean, they realize this. They're already taking space. The demo's all just trying to edge that cap a little bit, and it looks like MF is just going to back off.
Yeah, it seems like Ryan has been able to just take a lot of space as Sniper, and MF is fully willing to respect that. Both teams coming up on Uber here, so if MF decides to take the Uber, it's going to be an exchange unless they can force out Pub Winner earlier or get a drop somehow, maybe with some Frontier Justice crits of their own.
Looks like it is just an Uber exchange through Shutter. Pretty standard. They do have like a pretty nice setup there. Their Sniper's on ramp, their Heavy is ready to drop off on the Bats. But Fuzzy Coco gets picked off, and looks like a lot of the kills went on to the favor of Djungelskog, but...
Yeah, Jurgles did a really great job there, actually, like, getting into the Shutter, stuffing the med out, disconnecting him from his Demo Man, and then just committed to killing the med in the post. Jono the NG was unable to protect Fuzzy Coco there, and so Skog again keeping some uber advantage here and still holding the point, taking a little bit more of an aggressive hold here, which you love to see on Ashville.
Probably going to see only one more uber exchange. Oh, they're actually going to just try and dry fight. MF's trying to push through Shutter. Their demo didn't get too much space. Oh, that's a big sniper pick, though. I mean, they might be able to just walk out and 4 picks. It's about equal numbers. I think a sniper pick's definitely a bit better, and they should be able to edge now. And this is definitely the right time to be doing so. 30 seconds left on the clock. Big bomb from Ryzen, and he forces out the red medic. So this actually can turn out to be really good for Blue if they can get a good post. No flank for Djungelskog. This can prove to be a little bit tricky in this position. Demo does go down.
MF is playing quite passively here. Spy gets in, turn around, Sin.
Okay, just a
Sin
pyro
turns
pick,
around, gets the spy.
that's what you'd like to see. I mean, for at least, just that pyro pick, that's... Well, they have to refight from boxes, that's actually pretty rough. Okay, actually they get all other players in, that's surprising. There's not a lot of cap time on the point.
Good thing killing that pyro there, because if they leave that pyro up, then he can just deny point space effectively here. Engineer's behind them. Alucard is going crazy with these strats. I don't know what's up. Coming out of Shutter here.
And Blue's just giving up a lot of space right now. I mean, if Yensei just peeks out through Shutter right now, which he's trying to get some space doing so, could have possibly been able to hold it, but I think they're going to turn over the point. Oh, they do have full Uber out, so they're just going to take that. I see why they held a little bit. Yeah, that should be a really, really swift cleanup for Djungelskog. And they're dropping hardly any numbers. It's just up to Ryzen and Finman to hold up the point. That's going to be a little bit difficult. There's still a lot of cap time, though. I mean, this is definitely still salvageable.
We'll see if they can get any players up fast enough, but it doesn't look like it. And our first round is going to go over to Skog.
I found that to be pretty competitive still, though. I mean, a lot of Uber exchanges. I mean, even only 1 minute on the clock for MF, it still felt like a pretty solid minute, and they were Uber exchanging pretty frequently. It felt pretty good. I think they just have, if they just have better exchanges from here on out, I mean, they might have, a pretty good shot at even, honestly winning the map.
Yeah, we'll see if we see a little bit more of an aggressive mid here from either team. Risen going in quickly for a bomb there, gets shut down. Good denial from the protection classes there, keeping their med up.
But that bomb did buy a lot of space for Tax. If he has to back up, he did get damaged quite a lot. I think it was from a sniper on bats. So Yensei is just going to take all that space back. That mid looked really good for Blue. I mean, I think all they needed really was just a couple of players on the roof, maybe just a scout or even Soldier bombing over, perhaps. So I know Soldier died a little bit early.
Yeah, it seemed like Average was able to get behind it into lobby and was able to put out a lot of damage from ramp, and so that was really helpful for Djungelskog to win that mid fight. Again, being aggressive on Ashville is really valuable. This aggressive Uber they're taking in here, Uber exchange, we'll see if they're able to get any picks or have a good clean post fight, hopefully. Pyro gets skyboxed and is safely in ramp now.
A lot of combo picks, though. That should be really good. Jurgles picks off Fuzzy Coco. Well, I mean, it gives Skog the Uber advantage, but actually it doesn't even look like MF will be able to capture this. Again, I think there's another instance where, they have the space on point, they just needed a couple players on the roof. I mean, even just the scout to watch bats is honestly more than enough. And that definitely would have saved that point capture for sure, and definitely saved their medic.
Roof presence is so valuable on Ashville. It gives you so much protection against anything going behind you or people trying to bomb into your combo if you're sitting in ramp. And so leaving that open is just, you're kind of setting yourself up for failure a little bit there. So hopefully MF Villains can put a little bit more roof presence in here, but we'll see if they want to take this kind of dry exchange. But Joe is just walking in.
Yeah, they had a Soldier on ramp the whole time, and they're trying to bust out of Shutter, and they didn't realize it, I guess. Just the Soldier popped off. I mean, he probably inflated his DP like crazy, honestly. Still, I mean, Fuzzy Coco's at 6% here. They did get the medic, and so it's going to be dry on both sides. A sniper pick too. This is pretty big for MF. Demo goes down. Oh, Learn does get picked, but I mean, there's a lot of picks going on for MF right now that they could probably still take some space. I think Tax definitely needs to scout with them right now because yep, that collapse is gonna happen every time. Fuzzy Coco does go down as well.
Alucard's mini is going as crazy as Alucard was. Like, that mini was staying up forever and putting out so much damage. You cannot just let a mini sentry stay up, really, on any map. And Alucard, with the two-piece from the reserve shooter, these Frontier Justice.
Holy.
Frontier Justice crits are going insane right now.
See, so going back to that mini sentry, it's actually something interesting. It's rare to see a mini sentry pop off the way it did, and the reason for that was just because there's so much presence from every side of the map. There's flank presence trying to push ramp, there's people on point, snipers holding an angle. It's hard to focus something as trivial as a mini, but you know, if you let it go, that's just gonna rack up so much damage. We're almost coming up on an Uber for red. This is looking like this should be a pretty easy hold. They do drop Yensei. Alucard goes down. That's a huge pick from what we can see already. Entry pick, massive. Yeah, they're able to clean that up. I mean, that's really tough. You got to push the point with Uber Disad. That's going to be a tough situation. Yeah, Alucard actually top scored that half. This guy's crazy.
I'm gonna take a look at the logs here. Actually, I'm interested to see just how much Alucard is fragging here.
He top fragged with 400 DPM. He got 18 picks, while the second top fragger, who's actually learned from MF, got 14 kills. $11 Frontier Justice kills, wow.
Frontier Justice do go pretty hard. I mean, if you're getting the mini sentry kills and it's racking up damage and you just have crit after crit after crit and you can just go through that cycle of get some mini kills, destroy it, place it back down, get some Frontier Justice kills, like it's strong for sure.
I think that I wonder if like his mini sentry placement is intentional, just because I mean it seems like he's getting crits all the time. Like as we saw, that mini sentry isn't dying, so I don't know. It's actually kind of interesting. I've never really focused on an engineer's gameplay on this map, and I mean, granted, in IM, there's definitely going to be a lot more leeway for what classes can pop off, but Alucard is definitely making a statement. I mean, he's putting himself out there playing, honestly, probably the weakest class on Ashville. I'm not sure what your opinion on that is, but it's I mean, he's making the most of it for sure. Top fragging by 4. That's absolutely crazy.
I think that there's definitely some ways that you can have some really strong mini sentries, but I don't even see him like really wrangling, and that's typically what you would be looking for is wrangled mini sentries off of fans or bats or somewhere like that.
Right. He is running pistol, so that's why we haven't seen any wrangles. But that is also interesting. His mini is able to survive that long, do that much damage. I mean, honestly, I don't think I've ever said this, but I think MF should probably really focus on the mini, probably focus on some bats presence as well. Enemy bats presence, I should say. And if you can shut down Alucard, honestly, that might open up a lot of room for the rest of their team. Like, yes, I think Djurgles is also kind of popping off. He's getting it at the right moments and picking off MF's medic, but that can also be solved with kind of the same mindset. If you have your soldier or your scout trying to like play over roof or play on their bats, they have like a lot of vision to deal with a pyro that's trying to sack in the way that Djurgles is doing so.
I think that MF honestly needs to play around their sniper a little bit more. Looking at the logs here, Learn top frags the team 14-6, which is a very respectable scoreline compared to Ryan, who's going even 8-8, but also Learn winning the SVS by like a pretty significant margin here.
Learn, yeah, definitely Learn is going to be the strongest. He's the strongest link on his team right now, and I think they're playing around him pretty well. He did bottom death for his team. He got 2 less deaths than his medic, which is, I think that's a pretty good sign that he does have protection, and I see it too. I see they're trying to set him up on ramp, and he gets a couple picks. He has his pyro, he has his soldier, might have his NG with him sometimes. I think really the focus needs to be on medic protection for one. I mean, I think that there's just free reign for Djungelskog's flank and their pyro to just get in on the medic. And I mean, honestly, being at permanent disad is gonna be also pretty important. So I mean, that's hard to bring up though, because now do you take your pyro away from your sniper who's popping off, or how do you tackle that?
Yeah, that's always the question. But I also think that there's, playing around your sniper in terms of keeping him alive and protecting him, and then playing around your sniper in terms of, making actual use of the picks that he's getting and the sight lines that he's holding down, right? Like, if you know you have a stronger sniper and he can set himself up on bats or something like that, or in ramp, and just like lock off entire areas of the map, playing around that is going to be really important.
I took a look at the heal stats, and looks like Learn. Well, actually, both snipers really didn't get very many heals. They were towards the bottom of both heal boards. I honestly believe if Learn were to be taking the heals that his heavy is taking, which is 3 times as much, you could probably see a lot more done on all fronts of MF. I mean, when a sniper is playing by the medic, one, you know that the sniper is going to be healthy at all times, have an angle. And you're like, if you're playing pyro who's supposed, or engineer who's supposed to be protecting their sniper, you're also inadvertently protecting your medic. And I think that honestly might be a pretty important change of positioning that MF might want to establish for this second half of Ashville.
Yeah, absolutely. What are your predictions for this second half going into this?
So I'm curious to see what the mid fights are going to look like. If Skog plays this mid very aggressively, and they can wipe him within maybe the first 10 seconds, I think Skog is going to win this 2-0. However, if MF can cement their sniper to get a nice angle on Toxic or on Bats for any of these fights and get a couple picks, I feel like MF can probably win a round, if not just this half as well.
All right, we'll see if that sniper gets played around. Risen taking a note, going behind, picks off Ryan right away, and gets the medic as well. Risen going absolutely massive on this mid fight, and huge player ad for MF right now. They're actually taking this very cleanly. They focus down the mini, absolutely, shutting down Alucard, and they keep a lot of their players alive with 70% ad here. After this mid fight, they're going to cap that up real quick, and we'll see if they can set their sniper up in a good position, nice and protected. I don't know why they're not capping, but they're taking their time with it a little bit.
I was surprised. I mean, that mid actually looked pretty aggressive from MF. Oh, sniper Learn does get picked. I don't think he had a buff. That's kind of what I was bringing up just a little bit earlier. I mean, if the heals were going to be a little bit on Learn, that could have been maybe a 1 SVS on their case. They're playing so passive. I think they're trying to expect a sack wave, but
well, Yinsei was just in their lobby. I don't know.
He was. I guess it was just like a one-man sack. I'm not sure.
Watching, I feel like MF needs to do a little bit better job at just like keeping players out from behind them. This happens a lot on Ashville because there's a lot of ways to get behind the other team. There's an Uber exchange going on right now. Both
Learn goes down. That's gonna be a really big pick. Oh, Yensei does go down as well. Huge bomb from Average. Wow, absolutely massive bomb. He gets probably 600 damage, gets 3 picks. That was nasty. I think oh, they didn't the one man NG sec didn't get pub winner. That's unfortunate. So 50% Uber ad for Skog. They hold the point for the first time in the second half.
Good time coming out from MF though. Like they did get a lot out of that cap. They are going to be at Uber Dishad here by about 50-60%. So we'll see if they decide to run a sack wave or what their plan is here. Tax goes down early though, so if he was part of that sack wave, that was a little bit mistimed. You want to try and send everyone in at the same time. If you time your spy, your soldier, your demo all in at once, better chance for at least one person getting through. And Ashville is a map where you see those like 7-person sacks where you have one person staying with the medic and everyone goes in, but they do get the force. Jurgles.
They got the force just from some pressure through Shutter. I was almost concerned for a little bit. They had full Uber Disad and they were trying to peek out. I mean, maybe that's just a new way to just send a sack and just try and get an Uber force just by presence. I mean, I think that actually applies really in every division. That was pretty well executed. I mean, they kept all their players alive. Learn is on Toxic. I mean, he has a ton of space. And looks like the point's going to turn over. Just a little bit more time went to Skog on their hold. Oh, I think they're going for a sack immediately. You see Average, he has a buff. Yensei's about to bomb in. Jurgles is in as well. Nice protection. Nice kiting as well. That was really good. Played a little bit back in Shutter. Locked off that angle. That was really nice.
Yeah, that was really good reactions from MF, getting their med into Shutter safely, and then just wiping off all 3 players that went in for that sack. Also, taking that fight dry, too, is great. A lot of teams are just like, we have Uber, we don't have the point, we gotta Uber in here, and knowing that, you know, sometimes you don't actually need to Uber in, and you can take the point and come out of it with full Uber, and now actually being able to exchange rather than being at disad is massive. And they are not dropping any players during this exchange. And it actually looks like this could be a good fight for MF if they decide to stay on they keep taking this.
They had a pretty
have
stable hold.
Pretty big player advantage.
Finman was sitting on roof. He denied the pyro bomb. That was just one entrance that definitely could have ruined that hold there. I think everyone kind of held their angles properly, and it just looked like a really solid hold. Like, the fight was a little rough, but I think just positionally, MF was going to be the, come out on top on that fight. Fuzzy Coco goes down to a bomb from Average, but still kind of a lot of players. Scuttle does get a heavy pick. That should be pretty big. Yensei, low HP, no medic. Both medics are dead. MF is still trying to fight this. It's interesting. I'm not sure what the right call here would be, honestly.
I mean, MF did have pretty big player ad. A lot of Skog's players are just spawners right now, so I think it's very reasonable for them to hold this.
Absolutely.
And they're, you know, trying to run out the clock. They have a pretty big time advantage, so even if they can just get it to the point where it's in overtime...
Yeah,
you know,
I think they definitely got it here.
Yeah, you have a minute and 40 seconds to just, like, wait to get just a really good fight. You can send in, you know, a couple of sack waves, 3-4 sack waves, still have time. You have full Uber. Wait till you have big player ad, big Uber ad, and take the point after that. So this could actually be the first round of the entire season that Skog loses if MF is able to take this just one clean fight and cap this point up. And they're looking good already. They got 50% Uber ad.
Yep, exactly. Let's see how they're going to set up their team. They're really adamant on Learn getting that angle on ramp. I mean, I think that's probably the strongest angle for a retake for a sniper, personally. Looks like Ryzen, yeah, he's trying to bomb behind on ramp. They take their Uber fight. Yensei goes down. That's actually huge. I mean, that should allow a lot of people to get on top of point to start getting some cap time.
4 players down.
Learn gets picked, unfortunately. Learn definitely could have been playing Toxic there, I think. He didn't have the protection on back ramp. But, wow, clean, full Uber ad fight. And the first round of the season dropped by Djungelskog.
That is exciting, because that just tells me that we are in for a great match for the rest of the night. You know, if this was going to be a roll, not that entertaining to watch, but a great back-and-forth match. I cannot wait to see the rest of the maps we got.
This was competitive. I mean, I honestly, like, the way MF was playing was about the same as they were in the first half, but they just cleaned up their fights, and they cleaned up the positional, like, where they were playing just much better in that last round. They just got honestly, a pretty convincing round, I'm not going to lie. Looks like this mid, well, it's still a little rough.
I'm gonna need Sin to start turning around when there's a spy call, because I just watched this man look forward for about 4 seconds straight, while Pulse Dog was just chilling right behind him. I seriously think, like, the combination of Pulse Dog and Average, they seem to be getting so much work done together. I don't know, you know, we're not in their comms, but it seems to me like they're coordinating really, really well, and, like, spy soldier coordination can get you a lot of work done if it's done well.
Absolutely. I definitely see it too. I mean, that's the reason why both that soldier and spy are so impactful, honestly, is just because they're really peaking at the same time. So still full Uber disad. I don't mean like half Uber disad. They could probably send one more sack, honestly. I think there's still enough time. I think it wouldn't be a terrible idea, because sitting around for another 15 seconds for an Uber is going to be a little, I mean, 15 seconds, I don't know. That's kind of a long time. Honestly, it's a little bit too late now. Learn is set up in Shutter. Looks like they're actually going to have their sniper play bats for this Uber exchange, perhaps. John goes down. Alucard goes down. Huge pick. You guys got to go off that. I mean, Uber Exchange now. That's a crazy pick. And they do Uber Exchange into Shutter, but honestly, it looks like Skog actually was just trying to take it into their Shutter before that, and they have a lot of forward presence. Fuzzy Coco goes down. No other support from the rest of MF, and looks like that was just a pretty solid Uber Exchange hold for Djungelskog.
That is really unfortunate. Like, I think that MF needs to have, you know, some kind of hit scan in that fight, because Jurgles got in there and was not Ubered at all, and Fuzzy Coco and Tax were Ubered for quite a while and just couldn't deal with Jurgles just being there, because he can air blast everything that Tax can shoot, and manages to pick off Fuzzy Coco in the end of that fight, and now they're at a 50% Uber disad without the point. And I would be surprised if Djungelskog, you know, if they can get the info, if Pulse Dog can make some calls, I wouldn't be surprised if they took in another aggressive Uber into the other team's Shutter.
I mean, this is, yeah, I mean, they have full ad. Looks like they're actually already trying to edge that. At least Yensei is, well, playing forward towards Shutter. That's a little dangerous, though. You know, they didn't have their sniper up. Learn is set up on ramp. That's definitely rough. I mean, this is, look at this angle. I mean, they have full, basically, they have a big Uber disad. And they can just force him out just like that because Learn was able to just lock off that angle. Learn does get picked off in this post. 95% for Fuzzy Coco. Is he? He goes down to Jurgles again. Yeah, I agree. They definitely need hit scan on their medic. Oh my gosh,
Flamethrower goes crazy in IM, apparently. Jurgles is getting med picks left, right, and center.
The pub winner did go down. They had a Ryzen behind on their bats, and they kind of synced together with Finn and their scout. They just picked them off towards the tail end of that fight. So it is equal, and it looks like Tax is able to get a lot of space on point. See where his sniper is. Learn is also going to be sitting up right behind him. That was pretty fat. They get a nice headshot on the Jurgles. They're playing their space a little passively again. You know, they have the space on point. They need someone on that roof. Albert is able to get through. Rallo was able to get behind on ramp, and that's just devastating for anyone that's trying to push, because that is a free pinch for that defending team. So it's 1-1 in the second half. It's currently 3-1 for, or it is currently 3-1 for Skog. So this is a map point for our first map on Ashville. Now, here we're at the 5th mid fight of the night, and both demos get out on the same timing once again. Learn goes down. That should be a pretty. Oh yeah, Fuzzy Coco goes down as well. Average just living, able to shoot 5-6 rockets, doing a ton of damage. I mean, honestly, that's a really hard mid fight to win once your sniper gets insta-picked. There's like a few picks on Ashville where your mid fight gets exponentially more difficult when they die, which is your demo, your sniper, and your medic.
Just
sorry,
watching that mid fight, the major difference I saw is Djungelskog had Rallo on roof, and MF Villains had nobody on roof, and Average was able to just hop on the roof and dump rockets onto them while they were sitting in ramp. Rallo was denying anything that was coming over roof.
Yep, and that's the difference. I mean, that's what we saw in the last round as well. They're trying to send a sack. It's a little accorded, but they still get the force. I mean, I think Learn had a pretty nice angle in Shutter as well. There was just a lot of presence, honestly. I don't know if there was really... I don't know if a force was warranted. I think they were just using to pop in case the sniper gets that god shot. Which, seeing how Learn was playing, especially in that first half, you know, I think that's definitely a good use. So big Uber ad for MF. Let's see if they can replicate what happened on the first round of this second half. Getting that really clean ad fight, and it looks like they're going to take this to Shutter. They have now 70% Uber ad, and Tax is able to bomb in. Skog playing really passive. They kite that perfectly fine. Actually, no, Yensei does go down. Alucard goes down. Two good picks. I mean, yeah, I think the point's still going to turn over, but they didn't get any presence onto their medics, so this is going to be another 40% Uber ad for Djungelskog.
Yeah, this is where you really need to rely on the comms from your spy of knowing where their medic is. If you are taking that exchange, like the Uber with advantage, and you know the other team isn't going to Uber and they're just trying to get their medic out, oftentimes you really do want to try and catch that medic, but Fuzzy Coco seems to be building really well here. So
Yeah, actually,
down to about
this Uber change is, I mean, this Uber at this side is dwindling. But they're going to use, looks like they kited this really well, Fuzzy Coco, all the way out. So
really good awareness from Djungelskog there, knowing that they did have ad, but it was so small, and just taking it right away and willing to be aggressive. We'll see if MF Villains is willing to do that, but it looks like they're losing a lot of players here. So even with this Uber, I don't think they're going to get much out of it. And Fuzzy Coco might even go down to Jurgles again.
Yeah, the main reason why that didn't work out really was just because they didn't wait for their spawns. So during that Uber that Djungelskog had for their ad push, they only got like maybe 1 or 2 picks, but they forced a lot of people out. A lot of damage was still dished out. It's really hard to take a really quick Uber exchange or ad push once you don't even have players with you or people are low. They can't peek with you. That was just a solo on a demo. Nothing you can do about that. 60%, 50% Uber ad for Djungelskog with a minute left on the cap, and this is still a good time to honestly probably just send a sack. And they do send a sack, and wow, great! That was insane. That was actually so well coordinated. They might be able to just cap. No, they're definitely losing a lot of numbers.
They feed too many people, but looks like they got most people back on the same sack wave, and they will have spawn advantage, so Yinsei and Jerry not going to be there. Neither will Average, so they will be able to just take this. Oh, except for Fuzzy Coco goes down.
Yeah, Average bombed in really late into Shutter. I mean, they were just playing in a really bad position, Fuzzy Coco and Sin. That was a really easy pick for Average, and so Ubers are actually equal here. Or it's both dry, but Learn also goes down. That's going to be a lot of presence on point that MF might not be able to have, but they just need to be edging, This is pretty free still. Yeah, and the decloak into the Soldier Bomb, picks off Fuzzy Coco, picks off Tax, and a really clean retake for Djungelskog. Looks like they'll be able to close out this round and close out the map. Well, I mean, there's still a lot of cap time. I mean, Sin, he's got that head glitch on Toxic. I mean, that's not a lot of damage you can do from that range, unfortunately. And it looks like Jono trying to make space now. I mean, of course, that's an easy hold for Skog there. So the map does end in a 4-1.
Yeah, and we're going to be heading over onto our next map, which I believe is Vigil.
Yes, Vigil is our second map. So we get to switch it up a little bit. We get to go to Stopwatch. How do you think that's going to play out, actually, before we pull up our stats?
Well, first of all, apparently we are streaming to as the game is set to Valorant that we are streaming and not TF2. I mean, it is a really different map, but with Stopwatch versus Koth, and Koth you're relying a little bit more on your DM, and with any Stopwatch map, it's a little bit more on team coordination. But I think with just seeing how good the coordination, at least just between Pulse Dog and Average was,
yes.
like I'm expecting there to be some really good coordination coming out from Djungelskog here. Though that last bomb we saw from MF Villains was also a pretty good sign. So, and MF obviously feels confident on the Stopwatch maps. I actually might go and pull up what their pick bans were and just double check that real quick.
I have a feeling it was probably MF probably picked this.
Oh yeah, it's MF's map pick, but I just want to see what Djungelskog was banning and such.
In the meantime, I can talk about the stats a little bit. One huge difference from the first half to the second half is that Djungelskog's sniper Ryan popped off. He went 23-90, top frag the server, 430 DPM, and not far behind him, Average on Soldier, making the most out of every single one of his bombs, gets 21 kills, 420 DPM. On the flip side, Learn actually did go negative. Maybe that was actually a really big talking point for Skog on that on the first halftime. But I mean, That's definitely the main difference, honestly. When Learn can't get his picks, it's pretty difficult to take space. But honestly, I mean, they still got their round. So maybe there's some other things going on. I think honestly, MF did clean up their gameplay a lot in that second half, and especially on that last bomb, like you said, it's like a glimmer of hope to see. Maybe on this stopwatch, we'll see coordination like that on every single point on offense, and maybe some collapses on defense. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm just looking through their picks and bans here. MF Villains banning Perut, Djungelskog banning Steel, Djungelskog picking Ashville, and then MF Villains picking Vigil and then banning Upward, which I find
Oh,
interesting because typically teams are either stopwatch teams or Koth teams, and so to pick a payload map and then ban another payload map, really interesting. And then Djungelskog picking product for the last map. So hopefully MF is feeling confident on this map, and they had their choice of the payload maps, so presumably this is the one that they feel favors them the most. And hopefully we'll be heading to map 3 after this and getting to see some product action as well.
I can see MF having a blitzing offense. I know they're going to be defending first. I think I mean, I'm honestly going to predict it now. It's just going to be a one shot through all 4 points, and so I'm expecting a 430 for MF on their offense. In terms of defense, all it takes is just one good hold, and then defense is going to be able to stabilize. So we'll see. How do you think this map's going to turn out?
I think that I think either MF Villains is going to 2-0 the map, or Djungelskog is gonna 2-1. I think if Djungelskog is able to take a half and cement a foothold, they'll probably take the map in the end. But I think if MF Villains, like you said, has that blitzing offense and is able to just keep the momentum going through all 4 points and into the second half as well, that they'll be able to take this map pretty cleanly.
I could definitely see the 2 or the 1-2 for sure. I think it really is just going to depend on this first half. If MF can have a super solid defense and then come back with a crazy offense, you never know with the mental state. Maybe it's just like, okay, let's just lose this map, go next, go to Koth. Maybe we're going to be stronger on that. Because I mean, this map can be pretty tricky, and if your first half doesn't go too well, it can be pretty difficult to come back.
Yeah, having played playoff matches on this map, it absolutely can be a mental killer. Like, there are quite a few points, like second especially, can be a huge stopping point for a lot of teams. It's really easy to get stuck on second, and it just is so damaging to your team's mental. So if either team gets stuck on second, it is really something where you have to take the time in between, like take your half and be ready to come back and start fresh and retry and take that point without it just impacting your gameplay. Because we're playing 3 maps here. If you get your mental destroyed on Vigil and you have to go into product with that same mentality, you might be losing a map that otherwise would be really easy for you to win. So you really got to keep the mental strong for this and just push through it.
I mean, you would never know. Djungelskog might just have the best mental in the entire league, and then they're just like unfazed if they lose a round, or unfazed if they lose like 3 pushes in a row on second. But actually, I think second is a really good point to bring up. Literally, I think with Learn playing sniper for MF, and seeing how he really took his space and hit all of his shots on that first half of Ashville, second point favors defensive sniper pretty heavily. And so if they can play around him, have a soldier and heavy locking off side tunnel and main tracks, I think we could probably see a really long hold. I mean, maybe Learn just gets like 5 picks every single time they try to push. You never know. I can definitely see it.
Yeah, I'm also interested because second is a point where you have 3 different options for pushes. So I'll be interested to see what both of these teams decide to do, and whether they want to push main tunnel or over hill or through side tunnel, and what their strategy is and how well they're syncing up their spy and their pushes and things like that.
Do you think Skog is going to try and send sack waves on second before the Uber exchange?
They seemed pretty sack happy during Ashville, and I think that running sacks on second is actually like a really good strategy, especially if you're attacking first and you aren't like super time pressured. You can take the time to take that fight and send in sacks, and then take the Uber with either Uber ad or player ad, things like that.
I agree. I think this point especially is really good for sacks. The issue really with second and sacks is you can't let the defense get set up. You can't have people in the right positions. You can't have the sentry gun set up. And so the faster you can actually get through either over hill or like main tunnel, as this red team backs out at first, like the more successful your sack is going to be. I mean, that's why I brought it up. I think they were very sack heavy on Asheville, and their sacks worked really good. I mean, even if it was just pulse dog and average, they
Yeah, and
worked out really good.
I think MF needs to focus on shutting down Pulse Dog because he is getting way too much, and especially when like he can be getting the Century Saps and the med picks and things like that. Like it is really bad if he gets in and gets those chain stabs of 3 or 4 picks, especially when he's syncing up with average as well as he is. So we'll see what hold MF wants to set up here on first. If they're going to do the kind of cheeky little bit of a flank hold, or if they're really just going to soft hold this the whole time.
Actually, true. Maybe we'll see some new defensive tech.
That is always the exciting thing with watching lower div teams, is sometimes the strategies that come out of these teams are so interesting.
Well, they work, like if all 9 players are on the same page and they all know what their job is in a certain hold, it's really hard for inexperienced players to break those holds and try and formulate a push. And so sometimes you can find holds like that really do work. It looks like honestly it's going to be pretty standard. Yeah, heavy soldier, scout, flank. Everyone else playing pretty back. Yeah, looks standard.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I've said this a lot of times, but like in IM and below especially, 9 players all doing the same thing, even if it's bad, beats 5 players doing something that's like the best. So if they can get all 9 players committing to something, then they can still easily win, even if it's some weirdo strat that no one thinks works.
I think it's like that in Invite too, honestly. Like the better your 9 players are working in unison, the stronger it is, even if you're like all missing shots.
And so far, MF Villain seems to be working pretty well in unison. They're keeping Learn up here to hold this really long sight line down along tracks. They shut down Pulse Dog when he tried to decloak on the gun. Yinsei didn't get anything off the bomb.
So luckily, I mean, it is just first on Vigil. The spawn times are actually quite short, and so even though Learn did get picked off, Skull can't really do anything with this. I mean, they're going to try and push uphill pretty aggressively. Ryan is holding his angle. And, I mean, yeah, it looks like no sack wave. Pulse Dog is behind, so maybe they're going to set something up a little bit more structured. No, I think they're probably just going to go for an Uber exchange.
Pulse Dog going all the way back to Cliff 3rd.
How is Skog setting this up? Let's see. Just trying to get cart presence. I mean, that's pretty standard. It looks like they want to take their Uber exchange uphill. Ryan holding the angle for Yensei. And they are sacking. They sacked. Fuzzy Coco gets picked off, gets stabbed, and that was the only pick. So I guess that was just a really late sack. That was really interesting. I wonder what the idea was. I mean, obviously it worked, but...
Yeah, I think, you do have quite not as much time as when you're pushing 3rd, but there is a fair amount of time you have anyways when you're pushing 2nd. Just even getting the cart from 1st into a point where you can actually push them, and they're going to take the Uber in here, and it seems like Finman is going to live in this dispenser armor for so long, and we'll see if MF Villains wants to recontest, but I think that
it's a little bit too late.
Better off at this point backing out to 3rd. Yeah, making a good choice here and just setting up to have hopefully a good 3rd hold.
Definitely a good choice. Yeah, Learn getting picked off in that towards the back end of that fight is definitely a little bit difficult if you're trying to refight 2nd. But now, I mean, we have a pretty standard setup again. I mean, Ubers are equal. Ryan gets picked off. That should give a lot of space for Tax to try and, you know, help out his heavy pushing flank. Ryzen gets picked. That's a very interesting bomb. I'm not sure. I don't think there was any other support on cart. Yeah, Tax, I mean, he's helping out his heavy on flank. Now they're really, really disconnected. Yeah, Tax and Sin, I mean, understandably so with the heavy, but Tax getting away from heals for that long is a little tragic. Fuzzy Coco does go down in that fight as well. It looks like this is just a one-shot push for third point.
Yeah, Djungelskog gonna take this pretty cleanly, and they're gonna have Ubered coming into last. Not a lot, about 20%, and provided they keep time steering cart, they will be able to make some use out of that, hopefully pushing last here.
Learn and Tax were staying in quite long, and both of them are actually going to die for it. Oh, but I see. Ryzen and Scuttle going in, taking out Pup Winner, giving some Uber ad for Fuzzy Coco. That's going to be pretty big. I think Vigil is definitely one of those. Oh, and Ryan goes down. I mean, that's definitely huge. That's definitely huge for MF. Just that little bit of Uber ad looks like it's going to be about 50%. That'll shave off another 30 seconds off the clock.
Yeah, the sniper pick is really big. Sniper, both defensively, but especially offensively, if you can get your sniper set up in big door on Vigil last, you have such a insane sight line. You're basically forcing the defensive team to play on flank, and that's all the space they can take. So, you know, making sure that Ryan doesn't even have a chance to try and set up there is really big for MF. And
we have a sack from Skog, and Fuzzy Coco does live. I kind of like that teleporter, but honestly, maybe Medic shouldn't be standing in that corner to begin with, to be honest. But they do prevent the sack. I think the sack definitely was a little bit mistimed. Pulse Dog was going in for the sap maybe a few seconds earlier than the rest of his team getting in. He gets picked off on his own, and then the rest of his team gets picked off. I mean, it's really hard to make a sack work when it's just one by one, especially on Vigil last. We have Skog trying to take flank here, and they're actually, Yensei laying the damage on top of Tax and Finman, taking them both down. I think actually Uber change as well. Gun goes down. Jerry setting up on a massive head glitch on flank. And a lot of presence. Oh, Scuttle actually does get a couple nice picks. Same with Say What. This is a little bit difficult though. I mean, yeah, when you have the high ground presence on flank, heavy in that head glitch, people coming in through cart, that's a really hard thing to take care of, especially when you're sitting on the left side of that of the Vigil last. So 5 minutes 11 seconds.
Yeah, you said 4:30 for MF, so they could still take this. I'm still thinking about that telly that MF villains had set up. I love that telly. That is great. Dude, that's the kind of strat that I'm talking about that these IM teams come up with. We're gonna put our medic in this danger spot. We're gonna have a telly that he can stand on and get out if they sack in.
Yeah, so it's an innovative solution to a very big problem. Honestly, like anyone sitting in that corner, doesn't really matter who it is, especially medic though. Super, super dangerous. I mean, especially if that sniper goes big door, there's nothing, you know, can't do anything to get out of that spot. And so if a demo starts spamming you or soldier starts spamming you, you're done for.
Can't do anything to get out of that spot unless you have a teleporter that goes back to spawn.
Unless you have a teleporter.
They plan for everything. So yeah, I mean, hopefully MF can replicate what they just saw from Djungelskog and just keep that time steer on the cart the whole way and roll it straight through into last. Vigil last is one of those points where, like, once you get it up that ramp, you've essentially won the last. So
yeah, I mean, just keep stacking on the cart really at that point.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see what MF Villains decides to do here. If they want to try and run some sacks on second as well. If they drop to this crit sticky trap, like Say What does.
Hey, Pyro Pick, that's the best you can hope for, honestly. Like, for MF, I should say. Anyone else dying there, that's pretty big. But I think a Pyro Pick is, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, as a Pyro main, I find I don't end up doing too much on Vigil first point at least. You're kind of just, trying to clear out house or sit somewhere. So dying to sticky traps, hey, you know what? You cleared the trap, kept the important people alive, you're doing your job.
Tax and Sin, I mean, we saw this even on their defense. I mean, they have some cohesion, but they don't have heals, and so, Tax goes down if he was tanked there, like, that could have been, pretty positive for MF. Sin's going to go down again. I mean, it's just a no-heal situation. Taking 1v1s on heavy, that's impossible. It looks like Skog's going to pick out. They're getting set up on second. Lurin already trying to take an angle up top of hill. It looks like... Oh, Tax is opting to go through tunnel and get that spam onto the gun. That he doesn't get it, unfortunately.
Peeks out too far as well and ends up going down for that. Scuttle gets the sap, but it doesn't go down either.
See, I mean, you just match up your spy and your demo there, and that's a really easy gun pick. But I mean, look at this cart time though. They get the cart way out of tunnel, and so honestly, the Uber exchange might not be a bad idea to just send like an engineer on the cart during it.
Yeah, if you can Uber exchange here and just forcing Djungelskog back and out and taking space so that you can cap, but Jurgles does a great job denying it here with the air blast. Ends up going down unfortunately, but saves the rest of his team, keeps them alive, which is good.
Looks like now they're just trying to take their post-fight. Yensei is on loose cannon. Did I see that correctly? And looks like you're going to be able to really lock this down. Yensei is just laying down sticks. I mean, can't walk anywhere on top of him. See, the issue with that Uber exchange from MF was that they didn't have their soldier nor their heavy available during the fight. Their heavy was respawning. Their soldier just spawned. That's really difficult to try and take fights. I mean, obviously Ubers are only just demo, but what happens in post? Without a heavy or a soldier, that's potentially 750 HP that's gone from the fight. And that can be massive. I mean, it didn't work out for MF, so possibly that could have been a reason. But they have Uber again, and it looks like they're going to try and take this exchange through main tunnel. They pick the gun. Uber comes out from Skog. Tax is really separated. Fuzzy Coco looks like he's going to be able to live.
I really don't like them taking that Uber through main tunnel when the pyro's up. You have a cliff that's like right behind you that like the walls kind of funnel you to as well. It's really easy, and it did almost happen to Fuzzy Coco. It's really easy to get air blasted off that cliff, and Jurgles almost got it done. So
yeah, so that was a little. I was sweating a little bit.
It's a choice for sure. We are kind of getting down to the point where I don't actually know if MF can win this half on Vigil right now. So the question for them is, okay, what do you do during this time? Do you just try different things on second and try and figure out what's going to work for you in the second half? Because at that point, you're down a half on the second map and you've lost the first. It is going to be do or die for you. You have to win.
I think they're going for the consolation second push. I mean, actually, that kind of worked out really well. Just dry fighting, like, I mean, they were just kind of all-inning, hoping to get some space, and it actually kind of worked. I mean, they were coordinated doing so. I think there was like 5 of them all at the same time. Then they had like a second wave come in. I think that was, I mean, maybe that should be their push for the next half. Yeah, I believe it's like a minute 30 seconds from the second cap to last, so like it was doable for maybe a second, but that's about it. So it looks like, I mean, this happens that they're going to go over to Skog. There's not enough time left. Really, I mean, one main difference that I see between these two teams, on their offenses at least, is they're not letting their players get up and have 9 players in each fight. Skog doing that perfectly well, and they're getting a lot of space doing so, and their Ubers are working really good. MF, they're a little bit desynced, and it's costing them these Uber exchanges.
Yeah, I think that's, from what I can tell, the major difference between these two teams is the coordination is just significantly better on Djungelskog in comparison to MF villains. Skog is, their team is playing together, their sacks are synchronized, and especially the other thing is that they've got the profile pictures to match up with their class customized Djungelskogs from IKEA. I think that's really helping their coordination. But, you watch Tax and Sin, and they're, playing off on their own with no heals and dying for it, whereas that's not happening from Skog. So some more coordination from MF, I think, will be very beneficial.
Actually, you know what? I think the profile pictures do make sense. Sin and Tax, they both got the cat pictures, and Fuzzy Coco not repping the cat picture. He's separated from the rest of his combo. Yeah, I mean, Makes sense to me. I totally agree. Also, I don't know why are they switching sides. Interesting. Okay, that's good. I think they're going back. Let's take a look at these stats. Stats from the first half of the second map of I Am Grands.
Alucard out-fragging everyone on MF Villains. Honestly, potentially the MVP of this playoff set.
I agree. I mean, like for sure, Ryan's popping off. For sure, Yensei's doing work. But Alucard, I mean, he's more than one person out of the 9 on his team. You know, for sure, I'd give him like a good 1.5 people worth value on that NG pick.
Listen, popping off on NG, that's the real challenge here. I expect a demo man and a sniper to be doing well here, but an engineer fragging out is always fun to see.
I mean, half his picks were on offense as well, which is actually quite rare. I mean, you know, NGs don't typically get a lot of kills on payload maps. Um, and especially not on offenses. You know, when you're tasked to just holding your snipers back or just pushing cart, there's not a lot of opportunity besides maybe killing a spy or like a stray soldier or something. But no, I mean, he tied his frags between offense and defense. Like you said, he outfragged the entirety of MF. That's pretty difficult to do on NG. Try to look through the stats and just see some more things. SVS was more or less equal. I mean, 5-3, and it's 5-3. Yes, it is a 2 sniper kill difference. However, you know, Skog did have the better hold and the better offenses, and so the support's going to make up that difference of those those 2 picks. So I think it was pretty equal on the sniper side. I mean, Learn did top frag for his team, so I mean that is a positive. If they can find a way to kind of sync up the rest of their team and keep Learn protected, I think they can stand to still set a really good offense, and especially for defense, get that really solid second hold.
Yeah, we'll have to see if they're a team, if MF Villains is a team that just does better when they're pushing first and holding second. It was their map, so they did get to choose to hold first. But we'll see if hopefully they can put up a better showing, figure out what to do on second. I mean, that's what I assume they're talking about for this halftime is like, okay, we got to figure out second here. What did we do in that last half that ended up working in the end, and then also planning for just having a better hold and not dying to that sack wave. They did show on Ashville their ability to like play passive into a sack, and so hopefully they can kind of transfer that over, take it from the shutter on Ashville to the shutter on Vigil second.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think the sack is going to be the first thing they should probably think of. I mean, they got to have someone turning around for the spy, because it was really just the spy that got the pick on the Fuzzy Coco on that second hold. I think that all you need really is just a pyro to be sitting, just facing backwards. You do have level 3 sentry gun. You have a heavy. You have a sniper watching the hill. I think there's an adequate number of people to take care of like bombers or people walking up the hill that a pyro can safely just sit behind, make sure that their medic doesn't die.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. And your medic can surf a rocket or a pipe or a sticky. You can't surf a backstab, right? So I think that Fuzzy Coco needs to just be paying attention forward and say what really needs to just be like on Pulse Dog patrol.
I mean, also with Vigil second, there's a huge shutter that blocks off like a major sideline to the entire point. Um, you know, if a medic kites a sack through shutter, the only thing that can realistically be on the medic at any given point is going to be the spy. And so that makes it also a little bit easier for the medic too, because now medic doesn't have to look forward and make sure they don't drop to like synced stickies or synced rockets. So, maybe that's just one really easy positional change that MF can do, or Fuzzy Coco, individually can do, just to prevent that stab. But I mean, I think there was some more things going on besides just the sack wave. I mean, of course, that did cause a little bit of a snowball from second to third. Um, I think mostly MF has to focus offensively. I mean, they had a couple failed second pushes. Um, every single one of those failed pushes is an extra minute added onto the clock. it takes about, it takes roughly 60 seconds to get Uber and get people in position and, have a strat ready. So, the more times you fail that, it's just going to keep adding minutes. And I think, honestly, um, that one last, like that push that they did where they were just kind of all inning onto second onto cart, where they're just like pushing uphill with 5 players, like 6 players. That worked out really well for them. You do that with like an Uber charge, like you Uber exchange over hill, everyone's sitting back, they get buffed, and then you just do the same thing when it's dry. I think they'll be able to win second in a one shot. I mean, they can't. I don't realistically see them being able to win an Uber exchange through main tunnel. It's just way too easy for red teams to just kite, not really have to use. They have the high ground, so the only character that's going to be doing damage with the Uber is maybe Demo.
Yeah, I actually am thinking that Jurgles might be. Oh, they have a new pyro here. They got John on pyro now.
They do.
Okay. Apparently, I think I saw in Twitch chat earlier that it was Jurgles' bedtime, but
Nice.
Jurgles. I was gonna say Jurgles might be a priority pick here, but they've. Oh, I'm hearing some comms that they've swapped back out, and Jurgles has been granted an extended bedtime. Has not been taken out by the parents telling them to go to bed, so Jurgles will be back in, which again, back to my original point, I think Jurgles might be a pretty important pick to get here on second because Jurgles has been doing such a great job this entire playoff series denying Ubers from the offensive team. Like we saw it on Ashville, we've seen it so far on Vigil, and so I think getting a Jurgles pick and then going for the push-in is going to be really beneficial for them.
I think for second, especially, a power pick isn't something super necessary for an Uber exchange. Because all you have to do really is just take it uphill. Like you said on the last half, it is a problem when you go main tunnel because of that cliff. And it almost really was a problem because Jurgles was about to blast off Fuzzy Coco. But, it also applies with side tunnel. Pyro can easily just deny side tunnel as well. But hill is a little bit of a trickier thing for Pyro. So, I mean, on third and last, I definitely think, Pyro pick is going to be pretty useful. But second, you can work around it a little bit better.
Well, hopefully MF has taken this halftime and figured out whatever they got to figure out to take this W here. This is do or die for them, so, if Djungelskog wins, they're going to be your IM champions. If MF can take this, then we're going to be going on to a third half of Vigil, which they'll also have to win to force it to the third map of product. I will be sending the IM champions 1 scrap medal each. They send me a trade request after the match is over. And hopefully none of them were in Twitch chat to hear that.
Man, the TF2 prize pools are just increasing by the day.
Yeah, I gotta look after the players in my division. Really flexing the cash there with that fraction of a cent prize each.
I'll double it. I'll put in my own scrap. I'll put in a reclaim for each player.
Wow. Okay.
But it's okay. We have the second half coming up now with MF on this offense. And again, you see this combo presence trying to take flank for MF, but without heals. And I mean, sure they have it. I suppose Ryan is holding on that angle, so that is a little bit tricky.
I think Ryan just realized, like, hey, they sent their whole combo flank the previous time, and I'm just gonna sit there and wait for it. And he waits for it, and Tax is right there. They're gonna bomb in and try and get something out of this, but no heals. It's a war of attrition, and they just have less than Djungelskog is, but apparently it's going to be enough to force Djungelskog back here. Pulse Dog's looking for a decloak on the cart. We'll see if he's able to pick up Sin here or anyone of value. Getting up on the window, and it's definitely going to be eyeing Fuzzy Coco here if they don't have the protection on it. But it looks like they're looking to be fast here through main tunnel, or just kind of chill out, clear it out, make sure no one's in there. We'll see where they decide to rotate for this push. It looks like it's going to be over hill.
I mean, they got to say what goes down, Fitman goes down. If they use now, it's gonna be a little bit tricky for this post-fight, but I think they're going to be holding this. So I mean, on the end of that first point, Yensei did go down along with a sentry gun. So one, you know, you have the option: do you want to just send a sack because you know no sentry, or do you just like kind of want to walk uphill and see if you can just force an SVS? But it looks like we have an interchange coming out now. Alucard goes down. The gun's going to go down. 3 picks for Skog, 4 picks. I mean, I think they got some worth out of it. They got Ryan. They could probably, you know, reset, get their spawns really quickly, and you know, see if they can just try and send that dry fight that they did in that first half.
Yeah,
right now,
one of the really challenging things about Vigil second, and one of the things that makes it like a really easy point to get stuck on, is the red team spawns so close to the point that even though they're at spawn disadvantage, they get their players there at about the same time. Looks like Scuttle is doing something, I don't know. Gets the gun to go down.
I mean, they had the rest of his team walking uphill. It was a little uncoordinated. I mean, Yensei goes down. Whoa, Pulse Dog, 4 picks. I think all with the revolver? Maybe there was 1 stab in there. But that was, I mean, that was just a crazy collapse from Pulse Dog, and I mean, I suppose everyone else was picking Hill. That was, Oh, Yensei double donked Fuzzy Coco. I see. That's, yeah. Well, you know, that's a problem whenever you're trying to walk uphill. It's so choky. You know, especially if you're having to face a demo and a sniper, like holding that ground, that's really, really difficult. You can't really, you know, you have to bust through or else you're just going to start eating sticks and pipes. So there was an intermediate sack from MF. Oh, wow. Okay.
Pub winner ends up getting forced. I might actually stop talking because someone's car alarm is going off next to my apartment, and I think my mic is not picking it up, so we're good to go. And it looks like MF Villain's off that sack from Risen, and the Force is going to be able to take this point. We'll see if they can get players up here, or if they're going to get locked out. It looks like Skog is going to be able to take the space, but can they get the med pick here? On to Pub Winner, is he going to escape
Winner does
into
go
spawn?
down. He gets picked. Pub Winner does get picked
He
off.
gets stuck.
Yeah, I mean, well, that was pretty rough. Tax did have him locked off pretty nicely. But I mean, that's a combo down for MF. Oh, Learn is... Oh, he is on flank. I mean, that's a great angle for him, but he didn't have the support. I think that was good for him to back off. Learn does go down. That's going to be a good... you know, that's a good stability pick for Skog.
Yeah, Battalion's backup coming out from average here. Just going to let them kind of stabilize, get their players back up, find positioning. Backup is such a strong buff to have for your team. It takes so much less damage. You don't have to worry about Sniper anymore, which is insane on any map because Sniper is so good.
I wonder if that was part of the reason why Ryan won that SVS. I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. Looks like MF is going to be trying to take all their players' flank. They're sending Learn flank with heals, sending the whole combo. I think this is pretty standard. You know, you want to set up your sniper on this flank, see if you can buy them space. And actually, you know, MF has Uber Ad, so I think they're just going to take it through ladders, and they do. Jurgle is denying most of the Uber, but Finman gets the card up. They actually capped 3rd behind that Uber. I think they made the most out of that that ad fight. I mean, you know, it's really hard to get that red team onto cart whenever they don't have Uber themselves. So they made the most of it.
Yeah, and even though they're at disad here, they do have, like, it's a long way that you gotta push the cart here from 2nd to 3rd, so they'll have time to get this to even out a little bit. They could run a sack if they'd like to, and try and, again, clear out those Ubers. The sacks have been, you know, pretty successful so far. And I think that, you know, any fight that MF has taken when they've been at Uber at has been good for them. So going for that is I think, a valuable play for them to make.
And on last, I totally agree. I think sacks on last are huge because the distance from 3rd to, you know, Uber potential cart time is a long time. You can definitely send a sack. I mean, as we see now, you know, MF is still setting up their team and still getting cart time, and now they're just getting Uber. So, you know, absolutely, like, they had full Uber disad on 3rd. It doesn't matter because, you know, they have all these players set up. And it looks like, do they want to take this on a heavy through flank? Heavy pyro through flank. They use on the heavy and flank, and they actually get the force out. Now, if they stay here, they're probably going to die in post.
We'll see if Fuzzy Coco don't walk back up, Fuzzy Coco. You have to run.
Run! Oh, learn.
Okay, Jurgles
protecting
is
his
not
medic.
going to get the med pick this time, unfortunately.
Yeah, MF might have been rushing their Uber a little bit too quickly there. You know, their demo got picked off, and they still want to take the Uber on the heavy. That's really tough. Heavy doesn't have like a very good angle until he actually gets really deep onto flank, as opposed to demo who can just shoot stickies over the wall. You gotta wait for your demo there. Ryan goes down, huge pick. Tax goes down. I mean, look again. We see Sin and Tax by themselves without heals. There just needs to be a little bit more cohesion between Fuzzy Coco and his combo, because these picks are only going to slow down their push. We have perfectly equal Ubers for both sides, and we're going to hopefully see an Uber change coming soon. It looks like MF wants to repeat their flank push, and they just got Uber. And they use now, looks like, wow, that loose cannon actually denied that Uber pretty hard. Like a good quarter of that Uber was denied just by one double donk. Learn goes down, huge collapse from Skog. But I mean, actually, Sin is still in position. There's not much you can do when there's 3 players up, but...
Yeah, Jurgles coming in over the side there and just wrapping around the rest of MF really kind of sealed that fight up for them in the end. You know, with the Ubers, you want to keep your players alive and just try and use the Uber to get the gun down and take good positioning and have a better post fight than the other team. If you can get them to flash more players or things like that, then you know your Uber's just gonna last longer. And it seems like MF is losing just some players pre-Uber, but they're also just walking
They're
on
also
the point.
just walking on a cart.
Apparently, just holding W works sometimes.
Huh. That was honestly kind of just similar to that second push from the last half. They were able to just kind of get presence on cart and just get presence forward, and then you know they ended up capping. That was really interesting. See, the thing with the Uber exchanges on last, it's very choky, and so if you're not going to be in the Uber, chances are you're going to take damage if you're close to your combo. So, yes, you have to keep your players alive on that offense, but that's also on the players more than like the medic using the Uber to flash, because, you know, that heavy... Sin definitely could have been playing a little bit further back, and this goes for everybody really. You know, I focus on the heavy because he was there, I don't know, it's also the class I play, but, you know, you got to be in positions where you're not going to take damage during the Uber, so that way your post is just going to be a little bit stronger. Like, yes, heavy flank is going to be strong, as is really every class. Like if you have a soldier on flank as well, that's going to be very strong too, but it's not worth it whenever those players are already half HP or even dead, like before the Uber ends. But let's see.
We'll see. We got, you know, 8 minutes potentially separating Skog from their IN championship. See if MF can make this hold work out for them and force it into a third half on Vigil and then hopefully a third map on Product. What are you thinking here? Do you think they're going to be able to hold it, or do you think that Skog is going to take this?
I think they'll definitely have a good shot at holding this. I mean, it's 4 extra Uber exchanges, so it's 2-shotting each point. If Learn just hits his shots, they'll definitely be able to hold this. Learn does get picked. I mean, like, you know, again, this is first point. It's okay. Learn is on an 8-second cooldown right now, so, you know, what is there? Ryan goes down. Honestly, that's even a longer spawn time than Learn's, just because you have to walk all that extra way. So, I mean, still, first point goes to Skog pretty swiftly. Maybe that was, I guess that was 40 seconds, and now we have oh, look at this sentry gun placement from MF. I think they're playing really, I mean, look, Fuzzy Coco is also in the shutter. They're ready for a sack, ready for a stab.
And Yinsei's got no idea where the sentry is.
And John, wow, actually, he got 2 picks with those just straight pipes. I mean, see what happens whenever you play so passive like that. Look at this cart time. I mean, this is crazy. See, they prevented the spy from getting the stab. That's good, but look at this cart time. Alucard just sitting on the cart the whole time, sacking his life. Now Rallo and Average can come in. I mean, they're even Jerry's trying to support. Ryan's on the hill, getting an angle on those cart players. That's a ton of cart time. They might just send the the super change down. They do. Yensei coming up the hill.
You gotta watch the cart here.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they have heavy soldiers sitting on cart. This is pretty good. I mean, that Uber exchange definitely went in the favor of MF. But Pulse Dog almost gets the cart. He did get the heavy stab, though.
Yeah, when the cart is at this point, it's really a tough decision to make of if you're going to back out and go to third, or you have to commit at least one person sitting on the cart, because it is so easy for a spy to decloak on the cart like we saw Pulse Dog just do. There's only one person sitting there, get the stab and push the cart, and we're going to see if Pulse Dog is going to be able to do this again. Just decloaks on the cart. Almost gets it in, though.
Almost gets it. I mean, he at least stopped it from rolling back, which is really, really important.
Yeah, good reactions from MF to make sure that Pulse Dog doesn't get that cap, and they really do need to eke like every single second out of every point that they can here. And say what is on an 8K.
Also, Ryan did go down. I mean, yeah, unfortunately, it wasn't enough space from Hill, so... Oh, Learn getting a lot of picks. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I mean, no, the picks, those picks are just sacks. He did win the SVS, though. That's definitely a promising pick for holding second. But, you know, the cart was a little bit too close. That was... That's really, really difficult to hold. I mean, you got to put your pyro there or something. I mean... And they did, you know, but still, like you see, it's still very, very difficult to do so. You had 3 players on the card and they still got it, so. So Skog's trying to take this flank. Yensei and Jerry, I mean, they're taking this hard. They're trying to buy space for Ryan. Ryan gets a really, really, really good opening pick. And actually, MF actually gets forced, and so Skog might have a full Uber push unless Scuttle makes a huge play on Pub Winner right now. Scuttle does have vision. No, they use the Uber through ladder anyways. It's full ad, and looks like MF is just going to back off and just see if they can ride this 10% ad into last. But, you know, like we saw in the last...
It's going to be rough with those 15-second spawns. Like, Learn, Sin, and Finman are all going to be down here, and Skog is the type of team that is willing to get aggressive and play up way in front of their cart.
They are. I mean, Yensei's already peeking. Jurgles is trying to reflect some sort of spam. Jerry's already in. Average is already in. I mean, wow, that was a really big bomb too. There's a ton of presence. Unfortunately, the car was a little far behind, so you know you couldn't get the support from the Engine Scout. But Pulse Dog, I mean, he's just getting a ton of picks.
Everyone is down. They saw what MF did the last round and just held W in.
Yep.
And it looks like they're going to cap this up. And Skog are your intermediate grand champions. GG's only. Wow.
They finished out with a 4-minute 20-second time as well.
Really the perfect time for any stopwatch map.
That was just super solid from Skog. You know, they did end up dropping 1 round on Ashville, which is their first round of the season that they dropped. So still, huge props to MF. There was a lot of great moments from MF, for sure. You know, on a lot of their sacks, you know, saw great coordination. Really, I mean, it looked like they kind of had the right ideas for the most part. It's just they needed to slow things down a little bit, potentially just have a couple extra players in the fights, you know, wait for spawns. And especially, you know, for the people that did die during the Ubers, you know, just if they didn't die during so, then you never know, like the Ubers could have been a lot better, but I think that was just the main difference. I think both teams play it pretty well. It's just like a macro thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think both of these teams, if they stick together, are going to do just fine in main next season. I know that Skog has been competitive with a lot of main teams as well in their scrims, so, you know, both these teams had a great season, played really well in these finals. Even though Skog did take, you know, most of the rounds, MF still put up a really good fight, and, you know, I think it's great when teams stick together, so hopefully both these teams will, and we'll see them next season up in main instead of IM.
Yeah, I'd love to see these guys just keep playing together. We've seen a lot in the past in RGL where a lot of solid teams just stick together and just keep going up the division ladder and just smoking every single season. And maybe this is going to be another case for Skog. I mean, they look really, really solid. You know, like they made the most out of all of their picks. They made the most out of all their space, especially Yensei. And you saw, I mean, there was a certain kind of confidence that Yensei had, especially in that last half where he realized, you know, I can just walk forward. I'm going to hit my stickies. I'm going to hit my pipes. And I know my team's going to be in with me because, I mean, they have Pulse Dog and Average who are always together bombing and decloaking at the same time. You know, he just links up with those two, and then all of a sudden, all of his damage is getting cleaned up on. And we saw it in that last half. He top fragged with 19 picks. Alongside with his spy Pulse Dog, actually. I mean, I think that level of coordination, that level of confidence, I mean, that's definitely going to that's
Yeah,
just going to win you maps. I mean,
and
win you a season.
that coordination is so valuable. It's really one of those things that's hard to find with teams when you're trying to pick up new players and find people who work well together. And so, a team like this that's coming from really like a bunch of different teams last season, um, and to be that coordinated with each other and like you were saying, so confident, so coordinated, is really, really impressive. So I think that if Djungelskog wants to stick together, they are going to have a very solid season next season. I would not be surprised if they were, in playoffs in Maine next season if they stick together and are playing like they're playing and they keep improving like they have. Um, I think that Maine playoffs is 100% feasible for them.
Oh, I totally agree. I mean, I could even probably see more. I mean, if they're already being competitive with main teams throughout the season, I think we can definitely see. I mean, obviously, if they stick together, they're going to be competitive with the main teams there. Um, Especially, an extra season and a little bit of an off season to just kind of get some practice in. Maybe they make some roster swaps and get a couple main or even like some advanced players. Uh, you never know; it can completely change a team, and then they can just even win main next season. You never know.
All right, so we're going to actually be wrapping up here. RGL main grand finals still going on. They're going to be taken over from us here on the mainstream. Before we go, if you're looking for your own TF2 server, hey, exclamation mark Swifty servers in the chat. Pick up a dedicated Chicago server just for you. Pinned by Fireside Cast right now. You can use our affiliate link. Help support our casts. There's been a ton of coverage from Fireside Cast this season for both Sixes and Highlander. All sorts of divs. Sometimes, like tonight, running two casts at the same time, so you can see all your friends playing the game that we all love.
Oh, let's see. So shout outs. So Xenagos, do you have any? I can go a second.
Uh, Shout out to both these team leaders being uh, enjoyable to work with for me as an admin this season. Shout out to Rallo for being the most demo requested player this season by like a significant margin and never missing a demo check, which is great. And yeah, shout out to Fireside Cast for putting in the work to get some coverage for these lower divs because I think there is like a ton of amazing talent that we have in the lower divs that aren't in invite yet that is really, really great to showcase to the rest of the community. So shout out to them for setting up Trial by Fireside for Highlander as well this season.
Yeah, shout out to Fireside Cast. Shout out to Xenagos. Shout out to Underscore, our lovely cameraman. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that was a great season. I'm really glad Fireside Cast is actually giving some spotlight to the lower divs. And yeah, I mean, like tonight, we saw there's some shining stars out there. So maybe we can see in the future they'll just pop off. Maybe be the new best players. And I think we're going to be closing out our cast.